There's a quiet thief that visits millions of homes every morning. It doesn't sneak in through the window or knock at the door. Instead, it lives inside the joints of good people, causing stiffness when you rise from bed, robbing you of energy when you want to walk, and stealing joy from the little things, like playing with your grandchild or gardening in the afternoon sun. This thief is inflammation, and when it lingers, it becomes arthritis. But here's the part many don't know. Food can be both its weapon and its cure. Imagine choosing a dinner that doesn't just taste good, but soothes your joints like a warm hand around a cold finger. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Today we're exploring three humble fish that science shows can ease arthritis pain, reduce inflammation, and give you back some of the freedom you thought you'd lost. When I think of salmon, I don't just see a fillet on a dinner plate. I see one of nature's most remarkable healers, a food so powerful it can reach into the very core of painful, inflamed joints and help calm them from the inside out. For many of my patients, arthritis has felt like an uninvited house guest, one that rearranges their life and refuses to leave. Yet time and time again, I've seen salmon help them reclaim a measure of control. One woman, Margaret, comes to mind. She was 72 when she first told me, with tears in her eyes, that she couldn't open jars anymore because of her stiff hands. The independence she'd always cherished, baking, gardening, even knitting, felt like it was slipping away. Medication helped, but it left her tired and foggy. That's when we talked about food as a daily ally, and salmon became her first experiment. Within months of adding it to her weekly meals, she noticed mornings weren't quite as brutal. She told me, "Dr. Brian, it feels like my joints are finally cooling down." That's the power hidden in this fish. So what makes salmon so extraordinary? Inside this pink, tender flesh lies one of the body's best defenses: omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. Think of inflammation as a fire smoldering in your joints, sending out smoke signals in the form of swelling, stiffness, and pain. Omega-3s act like firefighters, rushing to the scene to calm the flames. Unlike some quick fixes, they don't just mask the symptoms. They go deeper, lowering the body's production of inflammatory chemicals, giving your joints a genuine chance to rest and repair. And salmon doesn't stop there. It carries vitamin D, a nutrient that's like the scaffolding holding up your body's framework. Strong bones mean joints aren't under as much pressure, and vitamin D keeps those bones resilient. Many older adults, without realizing it, are low in vitamin D, and that deficiency can quietly worsen both arthritis and overall bone health. By bringing salmon to the table, you're not only nourishing your joints, but also reinforcing the very foundation they rest upon. There's also something beautifully unique in salmon called astaxanthin. It's the pigment that paints the flesh that lovely shade of coral, but it's also a potent antioxidant. I sometimes describe it to patients as a bodyguard for your cells, shielding them from the wear and tear of oxidative stress, the very process that accelerates aging and feeds inflammation. With every bite of salmon, you're giving your joints not only relief, but also long-term protection. Now, you may be wondering, how much is enough? Research consistently shows that just 2 to 3 servings per week is a sweet spot. That's not an overwhelming change. It could be salmon on Sunday with roasted vegetables, a Tuesday salmon salad, or even a quick dinner from a can of wild-caught salmon stirred into pasta with olive oil and spinach. If fresh fillets feel expensive, don't worry. Canned salmon, especially with bones included, is affordable and still rich in all these nutrients. Plus, it gives you calcium for extra bone strength. The beauty of salmon is its versatility. You can bake it with a drizzle of olive oil and a squeeze of lemon, grill it with fresh herbs, or even fold it into a taco with avocado and lime. Margaret, the patient I mentioned earlier, loved baking hers with turmeric and garlic, ingredients that add their own anti-inflammatory kick. It became more than food for her. It was part of her healing ritual. And if you're someone who hasn't loved fish in the past, I gently encourage you to give salmon another chance. Experiment with flavors you already enjoy, whether that's smoky paprika, fragrant rosemary, or a hint of honey glaze. Eating for joint health doesn't have to be bland or complicated. It just has to be consistent. Salmon is not a miracle cure. No single food is. But when eaten regularly, it can shift the tide of inflammation in your body. It can ease the morning stiffness, help you walk a little farther without pain, and let you re-engage with the activities that bring meaning and joy. Science supports it, patient stories confirm it, and the kitchen makes it simple. Salmon is more than dinner. It's a natural medicine, wrapped in flavor, waiting to help you reclaim freedom of movement, one delicious bite at a time. If salmon is the superhero everyone recognizes, then sardines are the quiet underdog, often overlooked on the grocery shelf, sitting humbly in little tins. Yet when it comes to arthritis pain relief, these small fish carry a punch far greater than their size. I've sometimes called them tiny warriors, because once they enter your body, they fight for your joints with surprising strength. I remember a patient named George, a retired carpenter in his late 60s. His arthritis was mostly in his knees, and he hated how it slowed him down. "Doc," he told me, "I can still build a birdhouse, but I can't kneel down in the garden to watch the birds when they come." That broke my heart because it wasn't just about pain. It was about losing connection to the things he loved. When I suggested sardines, he wrinkled his nose. "You mean those smelly little fish in a can?" He laughed, but he was willing to try. A few months later, he admitted, half surprised, half proud, that his knees weren't swelling as badly, and walking up the stairs didn't make him wince the same way. What's inside sardines that makes them so powerful? Let's start with omega-3 fatty acids, the same joint-soothing heroes we talked about with salmon. The interesting twist here is that sardines, ounce for ounce, actually have one of the highest concentrations of EPA and DHA. In other words, with just a few bites, you're flooding your body with inflammation-fighting nutrients. If omega-3s are the firefighters, sardines are like calling in the fire brigade, arriving in full force despite their tiny size. But sardines bring something extra to the table, literally. Most canned sardines include the bones, soft and completely edible. They might not look like much, but those tiny bones are packed with calcium, one of the most important nutrients for bone strength. Strong bones mean less stress on your joints, especially in weight-bearing areas like the hips and knees. And unlike supplements, which can sometimes upset the stomach or go unused by the body, calcium in whole food form is far easier to absorb. Sardines give you a natural, gentle way to keep your skeletal framework sturdy. These little fish also contain vitamin D, the partner nutrient that helps your body absorb and use that calcium effectively. Vitamin D is essential for immune balance, which is critical if you live with autoimmune forms of arthritis like rheumatoid arthritis. Low vitamin D levels are surprisingly common in older adults, and they can make joint pain worse without you even realizing it. Sardines quietly correct that deficiency with every serving. Another reason I recommend sardines often is their safety profile. Unlike larger fish such as tuna, sardines are very low in mercury. They feed on plankton instead of other fish, so toxins don't accumulate in their flesh. That means you can enjoy them regularly without worrying about unwanted contaminants building up in your body. Now, I know the biggest hesitation for many people is the taste. Sardines have a bold flavor that can take a little getting used to, but the trick is pairing them with fresh, vibrant ingredients. One simple, delicious option is smashing them onto a slice of whole grain toast with mashed avocado, a squeeze of lemon juice, and a crack of black pepper. The richness of the avocado balances the saltiness of the fish beautifully. Others enjoy mixing sardines into pasta with garlic, olive oil, and spinach. You can even mash them with a little Greek yogurt and mustard to make a spread that feels similar to tuna salad. They're also wonderfully convenient. Unlike salmon, which you might have to plan a shopping trip for, sardines sit patiently in your pantry until you're ready. They don't spoil quickly, they're affordable, and they can be turned into a nourishing meal in minutes. That reliability matters, especially on days when arthritis fatigue makes cooking feel overwhelming. So how often should you eat them? 1 to 2 servings a week is enough to start feeling their impact. Think of them as a small but mighty reinforcement team for your joints, showing up consistently to protect you. George, my patient, still laughs when he thinks about how reluctant he was to try sardines. "I never thought I'd be the guy buying them by the case," he told me recently, "but they're cheaper than pain meds, and honestly, they work better for me." That's the beauty of sardines. They don't just relieve pain, They restore a sense of control, reminding you that healing can come from simple, accessible choices. Tiny though they are, sardines carry within them a powerful message. Your body can still heal, your joints can still move with more ease, and your life can still be full of vitality. All it takes is opening a small tin and giving those little fish a chance to fight on your behalf. Mackerel doesn't often get the spotlight. At the market, it's usually tucked away near the smoked fish or canned goods, and many people pass it by without a second glance. But when it comes to joint pain relief and fighting inflammation, mackerel might just be the hidden champion. It's a fish I often recommend to patients who are ready to try something new, and the results can be remarkable. I think of Anita, a 65-year-old retired school teacher who came to see me after years of battling rheumatoid arthritis. She had already tried medications, physical therapy, even dietary changes, but she still woke up every morning feeling like her body was rusted shut. She'd heard about salmon and sardines, but she wrinkled her brow when I suggested mackerel. "Isn't that the strong-tasting one?" she asked. I encouraged her to give it a try, and we talked about ways to prepare it so it would taste fresh and delicious. A few weeks later, she returned with a smile. "Dr. Bryan," she said, "I don't know if it's coincidence, but my mornings aren't quite as stiff. I feel like I can move again." That's the difference mackerel can make. The secret lies in its abundance of omega-3 fatty acids. If salmon and sardines bring you a steady stream of inflammation-fighting support, mackerel delivers a flood. Per serving, mackerel contains even more omega-3s than salmon. These fatty acids are like negotiators in your body, calming the overactive immune responses that trigger swelling and pain. Imagine a loud, angry crowd shouting inside your joints. Omega-3s step in like wise peacemakers, quieting the chaos so you can move with greater comfort. But omega-3s aren't the only gift mackerel carries. It's also packed with vitamin B12, an often overlooked nutrient that fuels energy production and supports the health of your nervous system. Many older adults are low in B12, which can leave them feeling drained, foggy, or even depressed. Arthritis already brings enough fatigue, so when your body finally gets the B12 it needs, the difference can feel like someone has lifted a heavy weight off your shoulders. Patients often tell me they don't just move better after eating mackerel regularly, they feel more alive, more themselves again. Then there's selenium, a trace mineral that works like a shield at the cellular level. In arthritis, oxidative stress, the damage caused by unstable molecules in the body, acts like rust on metal, slowly eating away at joint tissues and accelerating aging. Selenium neutralizes those unstable molecules, protecting your cells and slowing that wear and tear. In doing so, it not only helps your joints but also strengthens your overall resilience against inflammation-related damage. Mackerel also supports the immune system in a balanced way, which is especially valuable for those with autoimmune conditions like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis. Rather than revving up immunity in a way that could worsen flare-ups, it helps regulate the system, keeping it steady and calm. Now, if the idea of cooking mackerel feels intimidating, let me assure you it's simpler than you think. One of the easiest ways is to bake it with olive oil, garlic, and lemon. The flavor is rich but not overwhelming, especially when paired with fresh herbs like rosemary or dill. You can also find it canned, often filleted, and ready to eat. Toss it into a salad, stir it into scrambled eggs, or spread it on whole grain toast with avocado. Like sardines, canned mackerel is affordable, convenient, and still loaded with the nutrients your body needs. As for frequency, 1 to 2 servings a week is enough to make a meaningful impact. By rotating salmon, sardines, and mackerel throughout the week, you create a rhythm of nourishment that steadily lowers inflammation and builds long-term joint health. Anita now keeps mackerel in her pantry right alongside her sardines. She jokes that she's become a fish lady, but she says it with pride. She can walk longer distances without stopping, bend more easily, and spend more time with her grandchildren without worrying about pain stealing the moment. What began as skepticism has turned into empowerment. That's what I love most about mackerel. It reminds us that sometimes the answers we're searching for are hidden in plain sight, waiting quietly on a shelf. It's not flashy, it doesn't come with a big marketing campaign, but it carries within it the power to help your body heal. For someone struggling with arthritis, That's not just nutrition, it's freedom. So now we've met the power trio of fish that science and real-life stories confirm can make a difference for aching joints. Salmon, rich with omega-3s, vitamin D, and astaxanthin, cooling inflammation like a gentle stream over hot stones. Sardines, small but fierce, offering omega-3s, calcium, and vitamin D to strengthen bones and ease swelling. And mackerel, the hidden champion, bursting with omega-3s, B12, and selenium, bringing both energy and protection. Together, they form a simple, natural prescription you can find at the dinner table, not the pharmacy. A rhythm of nourishment that fights arthritis pain and restores freedom. Healing doesn't always come in the form of a pill bottle or a doctor's office visit. Sometimes it begins with the choices we make at the table. By welcoming salmon, sardines, or mackerel into your meals, you're not just eating fish, you're feeding your joints the medicine of nature. Start with one serving this week, something simple and doable, and notice how your body responds. Share your journey, inspire others, and remember, you have more control over your health than you may realize. I'm Dr. Brian, and you deserve a life with less pain, more strength, and more joy.